Welcome to the Cybersecurity for Additive Manufacturing unit with virtual reality for the Engineering 120 Freshman Engineering 1 course. The goal of this lesson is to provide support to faculty teaching Freshman Engineering 1 for deployment of CSAM instructional units and learning assessments. The CSAM units will cover the concept of visualization for engineering design, including the use of virtual reality as a visualization tool. The units will also provide an overview of design realization through additive manufacturing with cybersecurity. By the end of this session, one, you should be able to express knowledge of these units by identifying how CSAM unit concepts relate to ENGR 120. Two, you should understand the benefits of these units by identifying ways visualization can develop desirable cognitive skills for all engineering majors. Three, you should then be ready to knowledgeably and confidently administer the CSAM instructional units and assignments that will be described at the end of this lesson. Just to remind you about the CSAMVR project, the goal is to increase institutional capacity to engage, retain, and prepare engineering undergraduates while providing cybersecurity and additive manufacturing education. This project is supported by the National Science Foundation. This project was initiated in response to the understanding that there are cyber threats that are possible in the additive manufacturing process chain, from the potential for threats at the design phase by theft or damage to CAD designs, at the manufacturing phase by attacks on 3D printers, or at the testing phase by attacks on the testing equipment, which may be connected through local or internet networks. This project is going to target 4 courses in the mechanical engineering curriculum, including the NGR 120 Freshman Engineering 1 course, which is a course taken by all engineering majors. This unit is going to focus only on the activities that are planned for Freshman Engineering 1. One of the goals of this project is to complete an educational research study on how virtual reality, or VR, is helpful in helping students to develop computational thinking skills. VR education has been shown to be based in what is known as constructivist theory, which is important to people that are doing educational research. You must have a construct that, or theory, the theoretical basis on which your research is performed, just like any other research that is done. And it says that learning is constructed or gained through experiences and then reflection on those experiences. And there are several studies that have been done that support the fact that simulations such as those that are available through virtual reality simulated environments can help students practice and develop computational thinking skills. Virtual reality has been shown to increase learning in students, specifically from underrepresented backgrounds, and it is linked to development of the preferred knowledge, skills, and abilities that were determined at the American Society for Engineering Education, Transforming Undergraduate Education in Engineering series of symposia. The first one was about bringing industry representatives together to determine what are the specific knowledge, skills, and abilities that are desirable in engineering graduates. With the understanding that virtual reality experiences can develop computational thinking, or CT practices, again, this project is going to study how Students who have experiences in virtual reality environments, here specifically the cave, are able to practice and develop computational thinking skills. You have already been asked to deploy a version of the computational thinking scale in your classes. That scale was developed by Cormass in his associates. The reference is given to you below. And if you ask what defines computational thinking, it is defined by the 4 key techniques of decomposition, pattern recognition, abstraction, and the development of algorithms. The CSAM unit that is going to be deployed in the Freshman Engineering 1 courses will employ strategies that encourage computational thinking. In doing so, we are going to introduce students into the cave, which is an immersive virtual reality environment, and we will strive to make sure that we employ the effective IVR core strategies. Also, we will follow the lead of Bloom's taxonomy in creating measurable outcomes that align with the assessments and the educational activities that are going to be deployed. This is an overview of the core strategies that will be implemented in the Freshman Engineering 1 CSAM course units. We have a set of outcomes that have been determined and activities that will go along with each one of those outcomes. First, in line with additive manufacturing, we intend to generate understanding in students of what is additive manufacturing. This will be done by allowing them to watch videos and providing a demonstration of an additive manufacturing print job. They will also gain understanding of cybersecurity, again by watching videos and completing a case study and answering questions about that case study. The virtual reality component will involve the outcome of developing students' spatial reasoning skills, which is a computational thinking skill. We'll talk about that in a moment. And this will be achieved by introducing the students to three-dimensional graphics, visualization, and also bringing them into the immersive cave environment. Visualization for the purposes of this project is currently defined as spatial representation, perception thereof, and/or interpretation of the geometric details of objects in 2 and/or 3 dimensions. This visualization skill, it has been traditionally taught through instruction on graphical communication, which is the use of drawings or other visual data to communicate information. There are several different types of drawings that can be created, and the use of specific line styles is also a method of communicating information about the spatial and geometric features of objects. There are several visualization tools that can be used, such as the theories of the projection and the glass box theory. And then the traditional media that has been used to exercise visualization has been simple pencil and paper, and some of the tools that many of us used when we were going through our engineering education. Of course, now the tools are much more advanced and technical, and we more so use CAD software more than pencil and paper. And we also have virtual reality to help us to gain visualization skills. Not to say that pencil and paper is no longer useful, it actually is still quite useful to begin developing these visualization techniques. Why is visualization important? It's because there are several studies that have suggested that spatial reasoning and computational thinking are mutually connected, which would indicate that spatial abilities are actually core cognitive skills of computational thinking. So developing these skills of spatial reasoning in students are again going to help them regardless of their major and regardless of their level. They can use these skills throughout their education and throughout success in life. The article that was written by CETA, reference number 9 on the list here, listed specific spatial skills. You can see decomposing, recomposing, symmetrizing, locating, orienting, etc., and navigating. If you remember on the previous slide, we talked about the key techniques of computational thinking, and I encourage you to look at how those spatial skills are related to the established key techniques, which are the cornerstones of computational thinking. And this would tend to suggest support for the idea that spatial abilities are actually core cognitive skills of computational thinking. Next is a 10-minute video lesson prepared for instructors to share with their students. It introduces students to the concepts shown here and prepares them for the CSAM activities. After this video plays, we will end by describing in more detail the unit and the supports that will be provided to make your deployment of these units as smooth as possible. From visualization to realization. Introduction to Visualization for Engineering Design with an overview of additive manufacturing with cybersecurity. The goal of this lesson is to introduce the concept of visualization for engineering design, including the use of virtual reality as a visualization tool. This lesson will also provide an overview of design realization through additive manufacturing with cybersecurity. By the end of the lesson, 1, you should be able to express knowledge of these concepts by recognizing their definitions and identifying examples related to each. 2, you should understand the interrelatedness of these concepts and be able to identify how they connect. You should then be ready to begin and complete the instructional units and assignments that will be described at the end of this lesson. Visualization, for the purposes of this and subsequent lessons, is defined as spatial representation, perception thereof, and/or interpretation of the geometric details of objects in 2 and/or 3 dimensions. Engineers use visualization skills to create different types of engineering drawings, either on paper or using computer-aided design, also known as CAD software. CAD drawing files can be sent through cyber networks to special 3D printers to produce designs as physical objects. 3D printing is an example of what is known as additive manufacturing. Because these systems exist in the cyber-physical realm, they may be susceptible to cyber threats. It is therefore important to be aware of how to identify threats and defend the integrity of AM products. One way to identify threats to the physical geometric integrity of AM products may be to visually compare 3D realized drawings using virtual reality systems such as VR goggles, for example. Bringing these concepts full circle as a visualization tool, VR may also be helpful with developing the visualization skills needed to create engineering drawings. Let's explore each of these concepts a little more. Visualization skill involves the ability to see and rotate three-dimensional objects in the mind's eye and using two-dimensional media such as paper or a computer screen to create representations of how objects look from different directions or perspectives. Engineers follow strict standards of how to create the various representations. Before they can create complex engineering drawings or three-dimensional simulations, engineering students can build their visualization skills by drawing simple objects such as the one shown here and practicing the ability to project orthographic or perpendicular views in their mind's eye and draw them on paper in standard directions such as the front view or top view, etc. Developing this skill with simple objects prepares students and builds the ability to create sophisticated designs using CAD software. Computer software can also help draw, design, and simulate electrical circuits, structures, and complex machine parts. Engineers in every field can harness the power of computers to facilitate the design process. Visualization is the first step. Additive manufacturing is a general term that refers to a range of techniques for making physical parts by building up from smaller parts. The videos here highlight various examples of 3D printing, which is perhaps the most common form of additive manufacturing, or AM for short. 3D printers use the geometric and spatial data from a computer file, such as a CAD drawing, to physically print an object. Different 3D printers can use a wide variety of materials such as plastic or metal powders to build structural parts, and even biological tissues have been used to print artificial organs. These cyber-physical systems have revolutionized the way engineers and scientists can bring ideas to reality. Cybersecurity measures are important to be able to identify cyber threats and defend against attack in the AM process. Cybersecurity measures are necessary anytime information is transferred electronically. Being cyber-physical systems which can operate across local networks or using the World Wide Web can expose the AM process from design to manufacture to testing to cyber threats. As a visualization tool, virtual reality may be a viable technology to assist in identifying cyber threats to the AM process. Virtual reality, or VR for short, can be used for much more than gaming and entertainment. It can facilitate training for work in difficult, even hostile situations. It allows users a simulated experience of being in and physically interacting within three-dimensional space. VR exists in many forms, from the lowest fidelity, such as desktop computer simulations, to higher fidelity using increasingly common VR headsets, to the highest fidelity, the immersive cave environment. As a visualization tool, the possibilities are endless. VR simulations can allow CAD design files to be imported into a VR environment. Renderings of design objects simulated in the VR environment could be visually compared to reveal even minor discrepancies, which could jeopardize design realization through AM and subsequent processes. Finally, because CAD drawings can be viewed in a VR environment, VR can be used to help develop visualization skills. Users can interact and rotate a 3D rendering of an object to observe it from multiple views, thereby allowing the users to construct knowledge and understanding through spatial and physical interaction. The tie between virtual reality and visualization skill is ultimately the development of spatial reasoning, the ability to think about and manipulate objects in one's head in three dimensions using the mind's eye. Developing spatial reasoning has been shown to improve multiple cognitive skills and abilities, from creativity to mathematical reasoning. Engineering students with highly developed spatial reasoning skills have been shown to be among the most successful. Any improvement in visualization ability can multiply thinking and reasoning skills across disciplines and learning environments, from visualization to realization of your educational goals. This concludes this lesson. The next steps include an introduction to engineering drawing, also known as graphical communication. Depending on your instructor, some students may receive in-class instruction, or it may be flipped or asynchronous by accessing instructional videos. These will be made available through the learning management system called Moodle. Then please watch the VR videos available on the SUBR Cybersecurity for Additive Manufacturing or CSAM website at the link shown and complete the assessment in Moodle. Instructors will provide students with a brief orientation to the Virtual Reality CAVE, which stands for CAVE Automatic Visual Virtual Environment. All users must follow the rules for their own safety and protection of the equipment. Following the CAVE experience, students will receive an assignment requiring active reflection on the experience. Finally, students will be required to watch curated videos on AM and cybersecurity and complete various learning assessments in Moodle. The culminating activity will involve a case study about a cyber attack on an AM printed part with a learning assessment to gauge individual understanding of CSAM. The CSAM VR project is funded by the National Science Foundation with the goal to increase institutional capacity to engage, retain, and prepare engineering undergraduates while providing cybersecurity and additive manufacturing education. Now that you have seen the instructional video that will be shared with the students, let's talk a little bit more about the assignments. As the video mentioned, we will cover graphical communication either in class or through flipped or asynchronous instruction. Dr. Blevins, who is working with the CSAM VR project, is going to identify some videos that you can share with your students if you don't have the time to cover it in your class, or if you would just prefer to give them something outside of class to help them to develop or at least to introduce them to those skills. Following the video or the in-class instruction, we'll give them the learning assessments to see how much they can remember about what they have learned and whether or not they understand the concepts of graphical communication, specifically the ability to create isometric and multi-view drawings. Again, project staff are going to supply as much support as you need from actually making the quizzes and possibly even providing some assistance in grading any of the assignments. To get the students ready to go into the cave, we are again going to provide them some videos, and most of these videos are going to be available through the CSAM website, which has been developed by Dr. Yasser Ismail. These videos and other information will likely change over time. However, again, this should be a good repository for you to get whatever information and materials that you need to deploy the units in your courses. Again, we'll have a brief learning assessment to see how much they remember about using virtual reality as a visualization tool. And again, most of these assessments will be administered through Moodle. So they may come in the form of a multiple choice quiz that Moodle can automatically grade for you and import into your grade book. After that, the students will be actually taken into the cave. We would prefer that you actually be present with your class when that is done. At some point in time, we will have to schedule that out. We intend to put the students in the cave in small groups of no more than 5, give them some work problems that they will then be able to have a sheet with them and see the multi-view projections of an object that they are interacting with in the cave. Then we'll give them some new problems where they do not have the solutions, and they will be tested to see if they can actually prepare the multi-view projections based on what they see in the cave environment. And again, we will administer the learning assessment by seeing how well they understand the visualization needed to produce isometric and multi-view drawings, with the hope that the increased computational thinking skills from interacting with and building their visualization and spatial reasoning skills in the cave will improve their ability to create those drawings. And we'll end the VR cave activity with some type of a learning assessment to understand what their experience was in the cave, and to end with a reflective activity such as an essay or maybe a presentation. A simple way to do a reflection could possibly be a class forum or a peer review assignment in Moodle, or since many people still do the portfolio in the freshman engineering class, that's another method of gathering that reflective activity for the students. We will cover the rest of the CSAM unit asynchronously through Moodle by again directing students to the CSAM website to view the videos. We would also like them to be able to see real additive manufacturing done, or a real additive manufacturing product. So either by providing a demonstration, or some faculty members I know do a project related to additive manufacturing. So again, we want to give you support that you need, but also give you the flexibility to complete this aspect of the work in the best way that you see fit. And again, we will have some targeted learning assessments that we will help you to develop, or will develop for you and share with you so that you can deploy them to your students. And likewise, we'll direct students to the CSAM website and allow them to look at the videos on cybersecurity, give them the learning assessment, and ask them to do a learning assessment after viewing a case study on the website. So again, we intend to provide as much support as we can so that we can make sure that the assessments that are delivered are actually capturing what we need to know, and again, making it as easy as possible for you to do that, and to do it in a uniform manner. At our next training session, which will have to be in person, we will actually take you into the cave and go through the virtual reality activities, making sure that we are well prepared to deploy the best practices that have been described in the literature by Ritz and Buss. They've described some instructional strategies for effective immersive VR course activities, and I have highlighted a few things in the lighter colors that we will try our best to make sure that those things are taken into consideration in taking the students into the cave and working with them on the lessons that we described in the previous slide. Here's a list of the references that were pointed to throughout this talk. If you are interested in getting more information about any of these specific ideas that were brought forward. Also, Feel free to ask one of the project staff about some of the references or any other information. So thank you so much for your time today, and we look forward to working with you on getting this information out to our students.